Alright guys, so this is essentially video 1 of the Eldar Tactica series. So I'm going to jump straight in here and do a sermon. Again, you see the picture, obviously you know I was going to do a sermon. A few things I like to say from my own personal reflection is I don't like a sermon. Not because of any serious sort of tactical flaws, I just hate the model. Compared to the other Phoenix Lords, he looks just really weedy and pathetic. It's kind of like he was designed to be a Dire Avenger Exarch or something. It must have been the first Phoenix Lord that Games Workshop ever produced. Because compared to the others, he just doesn't stack up. The others look really cool, really like bulky and chunky and sexy dynamic poses. Asurmen just don't have any of that. And that's probably the reason why I don't like him. On to some more serious tactical notes though. In my introduction video, I was supposed to do it to save myself time and actually forgot to mention some of the basic Phoenix Lord special rules that they all have. So I'm going to get through that now. All Phoenix Lords are fleet of foot, they're all fearless, and they have the Eternal Warrior special rule. Which essentially means the Eternal Warriors means they're immune to instant death. Fearless, obviously, they don't have to. They're assumed to automatically pass leadership test, and fleet of foot. You know, you can run in the assault phase and then still attack in the assault phase. So I just want to get that out of the way as well quickly. So on to Asurmen. Asurmen is the most expensive of the Phoenix Lords, clocking at 230 points. However, he's the only one with an invulnerable save. He has a special called Battle Fate, which gives him a 4-up invuln save. He's got a good number of attacks on the charge actually. You can clock up 6 attacks on the charge. And his Sword of Azor, is the weapon he comes with, allows him to reroll misses in combat, which is a great ability. However, when his weapon skill 7 is standard, he's not really going to miss that many. You roll in 6 dice, needing 3s. Okay, you're going to get 4 on average. What really lets this guy down is he's only got a base average strength. Other Phoenix Lords, as I'll get into, have abilities and war gear that ups their strength, you know, to beyond what they come with the standard. He's stuck with a basic Space Marine strength, which a lot of times when you're killing things on a 4, it don't really cut it sometimes. He's also got wrist-mounted Avenger Shuriken catapults, exactly the same as what comes in the Dire Avenger Exarch. He counts as being Avenger Shuriken catapult, but with 4 shots instead of 2. So we're going to get into some tactics. Asurmen, I think, is the most unusable of the Phoenix Lords, and I mean unusable because of I said in my introduction video that Disciples can be a drawback for some of the Phoenix Lords, and indeed Asurmen is one of those Phoenix Lords which suffers from the drawback. Now, Disciples, if you've not watched the introduction video yet, basically means he can only be fielded with an aspect of his type, and because he's the Phoenix Lord of the Dire Avengers, he can only ever be fielded with Dire Avengers. And this causes a rift, because I'd never ever recommend field him alone. You never do that with a special character. Always attach him to a squad, or give him a retinue or a command squad or whatever. Now, obviously, if they're a monstrous creature like a demon prince, they're pretty tough enough on their own. But if it's an infantry model, they need a squad or a command squad or a retinue just to soak up some hits. If they're on their own, they're going to die too quickly and you're going to lose your points, and you'll never make back your points that you invested into getting this character into your army. So, never field him on his own. However, that means you have to field him with Dire Avengers, and this is where the rift occurs. Dire Avengers are awesome at shooting. Lots of shots, give them Blade Storm. You know, you get 3 shots each. They can't fire next turn, but so what? You charge into assault. If you're using your Dire Avengers to shoot, this guy's wasted. Like I said, he's only got the same weapons as a Dire Avenger Exarch, and his ballistic skill 7, so he's only ever going to fractionally kill a fraction more than the Exarch itself. So that's 230 points that's never going to be made back. On the other hand, if you want to throw this guy into combat, which is where he really shines, is where you need Asurmen to be in the thick of it, in the combat, taking down, you know, elite enemy combat troops. Your Dire Avengers aren't going to stack up against, you know, Chaos Chosen, Tyranid Gene Stealers, even Space Assault Marines, even like things like Tau Crew could probably take the Dire Avengers in combat. And it's because of this you can't really field him, because Dire Avengers, okay, they're not actually bad in combat. They've got high initiative, you know, they get 2 attacks on the charge, not brilliant, but they've got weapon skill 4, low strength, so they're not brilliant, but they've got that high initiative. However, they'll only ever be able to match up to rank and file troops. Okay, they may get the better of Tau Fire Warriors, they'll get the better of Imperial Guardsmen, but things like Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines, Necrons, they'll never be able to inflict enough damage to win. Okay? But you want, and now Asurmen will cut through basic troops like a hot knife through butter. The bread and butter troops of an enemy, it'll just walk through them as if they weren't even there. You know, high number of attacks, high weapon skill, power weapon. He's just going to butcher things. You know, with his unbelievably high initiative of 7, he's going to butcher him. But that's not where you want him. You want Asurmen to charge into the Terminator squad, the Assault Marine squad, because he will just murder them. And that's where you want him to be. And like I said, the Dire Avengers can't cut it in combat. So either way, fielding Asurmen with a squad of Dire Avengers, you're either wasting Asurmen's points or throwing away a squad of Dire Avengers. And I never recommend to do either of those, because Dire Avengers are a brilliant unit. You know, stick him in a Wave Serpent, drop him out, Blade Storm. It's a fantastic ability, and you don't want to lose that by foolishly throwing him into combat because Asurmen wants to butcher something. And I think that's Asurmen's only drawback. You can't field him. There is no ideal situation where he can take to the field, unless you've got the spare points to throw a cheap Dire Avenger squad in there, just 5 Dire Avengers or something, I don't know. But personally, I've never found an effective way to field him, and I think that's the drawback which is ruining him, because he's a brilliant character, great stats, some great selections of war gear, great special abilities. Bearing in mind, if he is with a Dire Avenger squad, he does confer the Exarch abilities to the entire squad, so you save some points buying Blade Storm or Defend. So that's always a good ability to hand those special abilities down to his squad. But like I said, the Dire Avengers either hinder him or he hinders the Dire Avengers. They're not good enough. The Dire Avengers aren't good enough to back him up, and he's a waste of points if you have him shooting. And that's all I'm gonna say, really. Oh, and the fact that I don't like the model. But if you like him and you can find a way to field him, by all means field him. Just do so in a way where you're getting the most out of him and the Dire Avenger squad that you've put him with. I recommend just fielding him with 5 Dire Avengers, just to bump him up with some extra wounds and some extra shots. And that's the only way I can imagine fielding. But that's it for Asurmen, guys. Watch out for more videos.